Hi, welcome to my latest video. Well, in this one, I'm going to discuss a topic I've been thinking about for quite a while. That is test benches. I have two of them right in front of me here, and I got two more on my workbench back there. And there was a history to this, which I'll go through as I show each one of them. I got everything from one that I made myself, all the way up to a high-end one that I purchased, that you see all of the big YouTubers that do reviews of computers and parts, that they currently bought at least one of those and use it to do things like water cooling testing and stuff like that. But I use test benches to make sure that all of the hardware I plan on using in a particular PC build, whether it's a PC, regular PC, or it's a high-end PC, or it's a server, and I have one of each here, that are still in progress, I like to make sure I get it all together and I can troubleshoot it. And when I get to my last one, my most recent one that I put together, which is my new NAS server, I'll describe something there that I may actually go into more detail in a separate video. But it helped a lot by having it in an open environment, which is really what the test bench allows you to do. So let me go ahead now and show you each of these and show a little bit of a discussion behind it in terms of when it happened, what I use it for, and so forth and so on. Okay? So let's get started and take a look at these devices, okay? Okay, let me start with this one, my original one, that I built completely from scratch. Well, I started off with an old PC case, and there's a video on my channel, and I'll try to put a link to it, or it'll appear as one of the recommended ones at the end of this video, that you can go and take a look at how I built it. I took apart that case. It had a nice panel that you could actually mount the motherboard to. I'm not sure if I liked the standoffs, but they worked. And I actually took the back end of the case and I turned it into the bottom of it. I cut the metal and I actually welded these supports with steel rods in order to raise it up. And right now I have quite a bit of hardware on it. If you look at the front of it, you'll see I have a disk reader, and it can do full 3.5 drives, hard drives, or it has a spot for doing 2.5-inch SSDs. So it really supports both, and I use that quite often. I also put here one that is just for another 5.25. It's a hot swappable with a sled in there, and I can go ahead and add another drive to it. I've also added a speaker, in this case a black one. You'll see another one of those in one of the other ones in a couple of minutes. If you look at the actual layout, I added this gooseneck, which I bought, and this fan with the support that's meant for a 140 millimeter fan. And all the rest of it is from the case. Now, one thing I did here is I made sure I mounted power on, reset, and the on light and the disk access light. And they're running through a cable all the way underneath there, right up to the back here, where it connects to the board in one large grouping. For the speaker, I actually used a real speaker that I had from 30 years ago. And I just wired it up and it works fine. That just does the beeps when you're booting up. This particular one, I was planning, this motherboard was meant to be, and you'll see in a moment the other end of this, when I was considering dabbling in crypto mining. So that's what this board was meant to do. It had enough slots to it in order to support that. And I have other pieces I never deployed that are still sitting in a box unopened. But that's what this was for. I even put here this network card is one of the ones that I put when I was first testing 10 gig, and this is an SFP plus adapter, and it works fine. Connects up to my local switch that I have here in this room, my studio, and it works fine when I hook it up. So it became my fiber test bed as well. Anyway, this is the original one. You see both of the drives connected up here with SATA, these red SATA cables. And it has a power supply, a low-end power supply, right? Like a 550 watt power supply. So I wouldn't put anything powerful. It wasn't meant for that. It was meant for testing low-end motherboards and the associated hardware. As you can see, it has the Intel fan because the CPU here, this is an Intel motherboard. The CPU here is only an i3, and that's 8th generation, which is one that I had taken out of my wife's computer on another, I think that was a live stream, when I upgraded her personal computer that she has in her desk. So that's the first one, okay? Now let me show you the latest one. I'll jump right to it. It's already on too, sitting right here. It's actually logged in. It's running Windows 10 right now, but I can change it anytime you want because it has the same deal. I have down here the ability to change out whatever drive I want. And I have a 2.5-inch drive here that has the Windows 10 on it. But I also have Windows 11. I can switch into it. I also have Linux. I have VMware and a few others that I keep. Matter of fact, I keep my actual 2.5-inch drives that have different operating systems and blank ones up here on a wall thing that I 3D printed. So that came in pretty handy in order to store all of my drives. And I have them labeled. You can't see it, but it's labeled actually in white on by the 3D printer on each of the shelves there. Okay, if you look very carefully, you can probably see one there that actually shows what types of disk I put in that particular section. So anyway, this one here right now, this motherboard that's in here is meant to replace my streaming computer. Now the one that I have right now in there, it's okay, and I used it a few times, but it's limited. I could not easily upgrade it to 10 gig. Now I have a 10 gig card in this one. So that's a major part of the upgrade. But realistically, I wanted to have 3, at least X.8. Well, 1 X.4 and 2 X.8s. And in reality now, I have, if I put a GPU in there, which I currently have this 1660 Ti, I believe, and that becomes an X8 slot. This one's an X8 slot. I may have to move this 10 gig card over to the X8 because it needs X8, that particular brand. And then I'll put in there the actual card for the Elgato 4-port HDMI card, okay? So that's what this is meant for. I'm still working on it. There's a few more pieces of hardware I want to get for it, and then I'll be able to load the software up and have it replace my existing studio computer / streaming computer, which I'm sure you've seen on other videos of mine, that's sitting right here. They're both AMD, so there's an AMD in there, and it's 3000 series, and this is an older 3000 series as well, so I'm going to switch CPUs when I switch to motherboard. Anyway, that's that one. Let me go over to show you the other ones. Now this one is actually sitting in an open case that was meant for the crypto mining. So it actually has a second level. You can put many, many GPUs on there if you'd wanted to. I never did that. Instead, I put a water cooler in there, an AIO water cooler, because what I have here is my high-end 14th gen, and I'm going to be putting that in with my 4090 that I have, and that'll be my new editing computer. That'll go down in my work area, down in my secondary studio. But this is where I did all the setup of the board and testing and configuration and making sure that all the parts work together. So I'm almost ready to complete this one. I was just waiting till the final fixes came out for the 14th gen from Intel that was leading to CPU corruption, which I believe is now the case. So I can move forward with that one. I already have everything else for it. I just have to put it together in the case. It's going to be fully custom water cooled. That's the difference. First one that I've ever done is this one. So when it goes into its case, it'll be a major job doing all of the water cooling and creating the polyurethane pipes and everything that goes along with that. Now right here next to it is the one I mentioned a moment ago. This case I bought, and Amazon still sells it. I'll put the link down below along with a few other things. For example, I also added to it a cage that can hold 4 drives. Actually, it can hold 5, but I'm going to put 2.5-inch SSDs in there for the operating system, and then I'll put 4 drives in there for the actual storage of this NAS. That's what this is, a NAS. That's what it will be anyway. And what we'll do with this, right now I have all SSDs in there. The 2.5-inch, they're only like 512 gigabyte. I just did that for testing, make sure it all works. This has something I've never used before. This HBA card that I got from Amazon, I'll put the link to that down below as well. That allows you to get a total of 8 more SATA ports that are high speed. They are not impacted by the rest of the system, taking the load off of the standard SATA cards. Operating system will be using 2 of those, the ones that are standard. As a matter of fact, I think I have them plugged in right now over here. Those 2 drives, that'll be the SATA 2.5-inch, that'll have the operating system for the NAS. I'll be using TrueNAS on this one, switching off from my Sigma NAS, although the Sigma NAS one will continue to be used. I may put that as the replacement in my off-site storage for my data. Right now, the one that I have over there is a much smaller capacity, and I'll be able to quadruple that capacity. And take a look at this. With my 3D printer, I created a connector to hold the power on, power off reset switches, and the lights that go along with it, the one for the power on and the one for the disk access. So I created that with the 3D printer. And what I did here is I went one step further. If you look at this one, I did the same thing, but I also added so you can have brackets to fill those in and cover them up. Why I did that is just for aesthetics more than anything else. But what I also did with this one, which I haven't done before, is I created a special holder, and it has a single push button switch in it. And this is, especially for this one, I had to reset the BIOS quite a bit to get the memory configured right. It took a while, and I kept having to take a screwdriver and go into the clear CMOS. Well, now I put a button there so that if I ever have that situation again, all I have to do is reach in, and I can't accidentally hit it, the case that I made for it. You have to stick your finger inside here, probably your pinky, in order to actually enable and clear the CMOS. I actually put it up here in white lettering too. So that's something unique. Now this case is meant to be open air case. They can be stacked. You can buy multiples of these. You just have to flip this bar over and you can connect them up and make it as tall as you want with as many CPUs as you want. I don't have plans on doing that, but that's always an option with this one. So anyway, all of them have power supplies, as I said here. This one has a bit higher power supply because it has all the drives. This one has the ultra large power supply, and this particular one was a 1200 watt, 1200 watt power supply that's in here from Thermaltake. I think I showed that once before when I was setting this PC up initially. It really helps to have these and to experiment with it. And like I said, I ran into that problem with this because of the HBA card, and I'll probably make a separate video going into more detail. This is a 10 gig networking card that's in here now, but this is an X4 10 gig. I have a whole bunch of ones that I got on a good price that are X8s, and initially I put the X8 in here. And that's what I have in the one that I showed earlier, the purchased thing, which I'll go back to close this video. I switched it out. This one, this X4 was in that, meant to go into my streaming PC. But this motherboard, because of limitations, if you put a card in this X16 slot, then this slot changes from an X8 over to an X4. And it worked fine as long as I was only using 4 drives. But the moment that I added the second group of 4 drives, the network card stopped working. That took a while to troubleshoot. Let me go back and show you and close off with the other original high-end test bench. Okay, back here again. One thing is this one automatically I had to add the cable, but it automatically had the buttons on the side in order to allow for really nice power on and reset buttons that you can push. They're part of this unit when you buy it. This arm, the gooseneck arm, and the fan holder for the 140 millimeter fan here came with it as well. And you can move this from one side to the other. I think I did a video review of this earlier on. But right, you can see here, this is the 10 gig card I pointed out before. That's an X8. So that slot is going to turn into an X4 when I put in another card over here. So I have to be careful when I jabble these cards around that I account for it. In terms of the power supply, this has one that I bought that matches the color. Let me go in here and show you that. So I got a white power supply on this one. I also added a speaker that's inside there. That's just like the one I showed that was black. This is the white version of it. Anyway, this is the high-end one, and it comes in handy when I'm doing something because it has really good cooling options to it. The extra airflow caused by this, and I can actually do water cooling with this. Not just an AIO, you can actually put pumps and reservoirs and everything else on this. I took the leaves off, which you would use for the radiators, but I can always put those back on again. It came with 2 of them, one for each side. So you can put fans and a radiator on both sides if you wanted to. So anyway, I just wanted to go back and cover those points. And these are my 4 test benches. So let me know what you think, okay? So here's number 1. Here's number 2. I should have called this number 4, I guess. And then in the back over there, I have the other 2. Number 3 and number 4. Okay. Oh, one thing I forgot to mention, which is pretty important. It's one of the nifty things that I did. This particular motherboard only has 6 screws on it to hold it in place. That leaves a big overhang here that can cause problems. So what I did is I 3D printed this extension that can reach out to the screws, the other 3 screws that can give protection to this end of the board when you're installing the power connector or the memory. And that's an important thing, because you can see if you've ever had a board like this in a case and you try to put memory or do this connector, it really flexes the end of this a lot. By putting in this spacer that is screwed in with 3 screws here, and here's a version of it that I have that's outside the case that I also 3D printed. And I had to allow these gaps here, you see these openings here, this one here and this one, to allow for the connector wiring that extends down from the PC board itself. Now those can be moved around. I just made negative space areas in the 3D print that I can move around or resize to whatever I want, depending on the particular system I'm talking about. And I also used the same concept in the other one over here. So I put this one in number 4 as well. It's just a slightly different variation of it, because this is the same one. It only has 6 screws that hold it in place. By this way, by doing this, I'm able to get the extra 3 screws in and support the PC board in a place that it normally does not get supported in. So I wanted to cover that before I ended the video. Okay, let's go. Take care, and if I don't speak to you soon, I'm having some more issues. For example, as you can see here, I still have my hand issue. That makes it a bit difficult to do things. Slows things down in terms of my video production anyway. Okay, so thanks for watching, and take care.